have a lot of tips, so buckle up. I have a lot of tips when it comes to concealer. Today, I'm gonna show you how I cover my dark circles. My under eyes have been my biggest insecurity since I was very little. I even remember being told in like junior high that people thought I wore too much concealer under my eyes, but I've always had just genetic dark circles, and then they're made worse with allergies, and I was always so embarrassed of them. And so I spent a lot of time, it's been like what, 15 years, 16 years, 18 years, 20 years, oh my gosh, that I've been wearing makeup and figuring out how best to conceal them without it looking too heavy or too cakey or all the things. So I'm gonna dive into that. I have makeup on the rest of my face. Just a little bit, just like my base face. I have nothing underneath my eyes though. And I'm actually gonna start with some skincare. So this is the Neotite Revitalizing Eye Serum. I use this morning and night. At night, I put this under my eyes and on my eyelids, and then I put an eye cream over top. And then in the morning, I do the same thing. Tiniest little amount is all you need. It's like literally like a quarter of a pump. Ring fingers. And then I just put it on. I usually do this during my skincare, not once my makeup's already on, but anyway. So under my eyes and on my eyelids, and it works to tighten the skin around your eyes. It helps to reduce fine lines and wrinkles, tighten that skin, and then also helps to reduce dark circles, which my dark circles have come a long way since taking care of them better and using better skincare. About a year and a half ago, I did get under eye filler because I heard that that would help. And I don't feel like it helped a ton. I didn't love it, so I'm just kind of like that's dissolving. I'm just waiting for it to go away. But that's all that I've done. So anyway, you can kind of feel it like cooling a little bit, and it is proven to work within like 3 minutes to give some results, but then also over time, you will see a major difference as well. So that I do not go a single morning or night without. It just made the biggest difference skincare wise. So in the morning, I use Eye Illuminator. It's a glowy eye cream, so it has a tiny bit of makeup aspect to it, and it gives like a really pretty nice subtle glow to it. So it doesn't provide like concealer coverage necessarily, but it just gives that like highlighted effect. It helps to reflect the light, which also helps to detract from darkness. But skincare is massively important when it comes to your makeup application. You've got to make sure that you are properly taking care of your skin so that when you put your makeup on, it looks the best that it can be. And especially when it comes to the under eyes, because your under eyes are so dang thin, but they're the place that can show fine lines and wrinkles the quickest, and they also will show like caking the most, they move the most, and so creasing can happen very quickly. And so you just want to make sure that you are taking good care of that skin so that your makeup looks good when you put it on top. So this is the Eye Illuminator in the shade Light. There's 3 shades, light, medium, and deep. And I just tap that on with my ring finger. And you can actually put it like on your face too. It works as like a highlight. Can you see that? So you can put it under your makeup or over top of your makeup, but I use it every morning as my eye cream. Can you tell a difference? I use my ring fingers because they are the weakest fingers, so they're gonna do the least amount of pulling and tugging at that thin skin. So that's the morning eye cream. Like I said, I do both of these during my skincare routine, so I do them before I put my makeup on. I like to let my eye cream sit for as long as possible before I put my makeup on, just so that it like soaks in and is really hydrated, because if you have too much skincare underneath your eye area, then it can cause like slipping with your makeup. So you do want to be careful, give it plenty of time to sit, but look at that brightness underneath the eyes. And it's bright, but not like ashy or looks like I'm wearing too much makeup. It's just like that lit from within, reflects the light, all that. So once I go in and do my makeup, I always kind of tap out my under eyes, and then we are going to get into the makeup. So I just want to make sure that there is no excess product sitting there for the makeup to kind of slide around on top of. I want to make sure that it's all soaked in and all pressed in. So I did already do that in my skincare like way earlier today, and then I just kind of wiped it away and redid it. So my skin is pretty hydrated. First things first when it comes to dark circles is you want to color correct, because think about like if you've got like something, I don't know, if you've got like a black towel behind a white piece of paper, think about how that shadow kind of shows through, and it just shows, it's gonna turn it gray, because the darkness can be so dark that if you put too light of a concealer over top, it's just gonna make it look gray and ashy. So you actually wanna color correct first, and then we can go in and conceal. And that is something that I did not learn until far too long in my makeup journey. And I'm like, this would have saved me tons of humiliation. I mean, it wasn't that embarrassing, but it is kind of embarrassing to be told that you're wearing too much concealer. Okay, anyway, so color correction. Now, you wanna take a look at what color your dark circles present, and this can actually be applied to the whole rest of the face as well, this color correction theory. But for today, I'm focusing on my under eyes because that's where my biggest struggle is. So for me, my dark circles are like a bluish purple, and so I use a peach toned cream product to color correct. It helps to kind of cancel it out. So if you look at the color wheel, whatever color is across from the blue on the color wheel is what I want to use to color correct it, and that is this peach tone. So this is Candlelight Shadow Sense. It's a cream to powder eyeshadow, but I love it for color correcting because it's very pigmented and it's not too slippery, and it dries to a powdery finish that stays in place all day. It is on the drier side of a formula versus like a creamy concealer, and so that is like extra reason why you want to hydrate the under eye area, because you need to be well hydrated so that this doesn't look like too dry and cakey on the under eyes. I would love for Senegence to come out with this shade of a concealer like in our concealer tubes. In the past, I have mixed Terracotta Blush Sense, this one right here, Terracotta Blush Sense with Fair Concealer to create the same shade, but a concealer formula. And this is all, of course, with Senegence products. I like them the best because they have built-in skincare and they're made to last. They're made to be crease-proof, they're made to be smudge-proof, budge-proof, waterproof. They last all day, and they've got, like I said, that built-in skincare, so they're really good for your skin as well. So anyway, I would love for Senegence to make that shade of concealer. But anyway, Shadow Sense works well for me. I just have to make sure that I like super hydrate. All right, so you only need a tiny amount. So I use a teeny tiny brush and just barely press it on the areas where I have that darkness. And it helps to correct it so that when I put my concealer over top, I don't have to use nearly as much concealer to try to cover it up. And it just kind of helps to like balance and even it out. And then this shade is actually like, it's not too peachy, so where I actually use it on my eyelids as well. It's like just peachy enough that it color corrects darkness, but I can also use it on my eyelids to kind of cancel out any veins and redness. And look at that. By the way, of course, these colors are what work for me. I'll put my contact info in the caption, so if you have any questions or need recommendations or anything like that, I'd be more than happy to help you. Send me an email and I can help you figure out your shades. But I mean, look at that difference. Right there already. That is just color corrector. It makes such a difference in opening up and brightening my eyes. Some days I just go with this, but I do like to do a concealer over top because in person it can show a little bit peachier than it's like pulling on camera. So I do still put concealer on over top. And I think I'm just gonna do this eye so I can show you the difference. Maybe I'll try to wipe away, because even that, whew, look at that difference that like even just the eye cream makes. I mean, that eye illuminator makes. The brightness versus that darkness. Oh my gosh, crazy. Colors come in these little airless pumps. Let me see if I can find one that is used a little more. Okay, well, oh, here we go. Here's an example. Airless pumps, so you get every single last drop. You can see it like scraped the side. So you get every single last drop. And I just used up my second bottle of light. No, I think it was actually my third bottle because I use it a lot, in a year and a half. So they last a good amount of time. You just only need the tiniest amount. So it's in a little pump, so it's like super clean. It keeps bacteria from entering, it keeps it from contaminating, so it actually can last you a long time and it won't get yucky and contaminated, but gotta pump out the air first, gotta prime it a little bit. Okay, there we go. So you only need a teeny tiny amount, put it on my ring finger and then apply it to the under eye area. And I also like to do a little bit out here. I usually apply it a little lower than I want it to be, and then I will blend it upwards. The reason for that is all of your fine lines are right under here. If you put too much product there, that's going to cause creasing. That is a recipe for creasing. Too much product and fine lines, it's gonna crease, okay? So avoid applying too much product right over top of where the under eye creasing is, and instead apply it below, because I do have like that darkness and some discoloration. And if you'll notice, I don't put any makeup on my eye area. So when I'm doing like my tinted moisturizer and stuff, I don't put any makeup in that area because I know that I'm going to conceal. I know that I'm always gonna use concealer, and so I just don't even bother with putting foundation or my tinted moisturizer there because I don't wanna put too much product there. I don't want it to build up. The key to getting your makeup to not crease is to use products that are, you know, not gonna budge, like really good, sturdy products that don't budge. And really the number one key is not using too much product. Because even if you have like a creamy, slippery, you know, like more sheer concealer, as long as you're not using too much, you shouldn't have too much of an issue with creasing. But anyway, I like a good solid coverage under my eye, and so I know that I need something full coverage. I need something that's not gonna budge, and then I need to use less of it. So this tip you can use with Senegen's concealer. You can use it with whatever concealer you are using. It will help. So I apply it and then I let it sit and start to dry down before I blend it out. So by letting it sit and start to dry, it's actually going to thicken up because this is a self-setting concealer. So it starts to set, it starts to thicken up a little bit, and it allows my concealer to be more full coverage, to be more opaque with a minimal amount of product. So I actually get more coverage by letting it sit than if I had just started to blend it out right away. And that's because it does start to thicken up and start to set. So now, that's why I was talking a bunch, letting it sit and set, and now I'm going to blend it out. So I'm gonna take my concealer brush. This is the F64. I've been using this for years, and it's my favorite to blend. And I'm going to press it up into where I have those fine lines. So I am going to start to spread it around and blend it out. And I don't need to do a whole lot of blending because I didn't use too much product. So I'm just using tapping motions, not sweeping and swiping, but these tapping motions are also going to help keep the product in place and not like smudge it all around. So tap, 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 tap. I'll also kind of press it a little over my eyelids. And I mean, but look at that. Amazing, right? Like, look at that difference. It makes such a difference. Okay, so last thing is let this sit as well. So before you go in and powder, you want to let this area sit. Now here's why. Think about when you have flour and water and you mix them together and then it dries. Like if you just have a flour and water paste, it creates like kind of like a cement. And if you had a really soft movable surface underneath that, it's going to crack. When you press a powder into your concealer, it can do that same thing. If your concealer is super wet and you're pressing a powder into it, it can create almost like a paste, and then your eyes move a ton. And so when that paste hardens and then your eye skin underneath it is moving, it's gonna crack. And it's going to create those lines and crevices and cracks, and it's just not gonna look as good as it possibly could. So self-setting concealer, let it set. Normally when I'm doing my makeup and I'm taking the time to let things set, I'm like kind of bouncing around and doing different parts. Like I'll put my concealer, I'll press it on, and then I'll do my eyebrows, and then I'll blend it out, and then I'll do like my eyeshadow, and then I'll go in with my powder. But for the sake of this video, I'm just doing all the steps next to each other. So anyway, right before I powder, I go back in with my concealer brush and just press away any excess product, because excess product is going to settle into those fine lines and wrinkles. So I wanted to give my concealer time to do that. Press it out, and then we're gonna go in with a powder. A little tip when it comes to powder, if you blow on it and it falls, it blew away. If it falls, it's too heavy for your under eye area. You want a powder that is so finely milled that it is just so lightweight. That way it's not going to build up and be heavy and cakey and look chunky under your eye area. That area is just so delicate, it can't handle too much product and it can't handle too heavy of product. So super finely milled powder. This one is also a very hydrating powder, and so it's great for all skin types. It's hydrating but still oil absorbing, and so it's great especially under your eyes because it's not going to feel dry or cakey. So I've got some powder in there. I'm going to take this little puff. This one is the Rose and Ben puff. And I also use puffs from Amazon too. It's really good. It doesn't really matter that much. And I work the powder into the puff by kind of like rubbing it on the back of my hand, and then I press it in under the eye area. And I don't do like baking where I put a ton of powder on and then sweep it away. I just like to be very minimal with this. So I applied it, and then I'm just gonna kind of sweep away any excess, and that's just gonna help finish it off. It gives it like a airbrushed, blurred kind of finished effect. The concealer, like I said, is already self-setting on its own, and it's already long-lasting on its own. So doing the powder isn't necessarily a setting step, but it's just kind of a finishing step. So it gives it like that really nice airbrushed, smooth finish under the eyes. And then it does help to hydrate and also help to absorb any oils that might get produced along the way. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Lots of tips in here for you. So it's like very in-depth under eye. But I mean, look at the difference. You can't even like, and it feels so lightweight too. That's the thing, is like I feel like I'm getting the best coverage. It looks really good on camera. It also looks good in person. Like it doesn't look chunky and heavy and cakey at all. It feels so comfortable. Like when I move my eyes, it's not moving anywhere. It doesn't feel tight or anything like that, but I still get really great coverage. So I love the products that I found. Everything will be listed in the description below. And I hope you guys like this video. Let me know what you want to see next, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.